accredited. And of course that leads into that official endorsement, right? You've got this, when you graduate, you have a stamp of approval from an institution that says that you've been through a certain process of education, that you've been through certain types of information, and that you've proven your competency in those areas. And then we turn to educators for guidance through experiences and thought processes. If you think about the structure of most higher education courses, really what students are engaging in is they're taking a trip along with their instructor who has been down a path before. So, you know, I sign up for a class on, you know, medieval literature, and what I'm doing is I'm trusting that that educator has experienced more medieval literature than I have, and that they're going to expose me to certain bodies of work with an enlightened attitude and with more information and more insight about those works than I would have had before. So we trust educational institutions to guide students through these kinds of experiences and to engage them in thought processes and to measure and assess whether or not they've wrestled with certain ideas adequately. And then we hope that students get an association with a professional community. We hope that by the time they graduate, they have been introduced to people in their field, that maybe they've done some internships, and that they're more acclimated to the field that they're graduating into, the jobs that they're moving into. So this is what higher education looks like, right? You take courses, you associate with people who have similar interests, you develop your knowledge base, you participate in experiences and with groups of people, and you have some kind of mentoring relationship with an educator or with an advisor or with someone else on campus who guides you through the experience and then gets you ready to go on. Now, what I'm going to talk about next is what we get out of engaging in social media. So what role does social media play in the lives of those who are engaged with it? Now, not everybody is engaged with social media, but those of you who are here probably are. You probably email, perhaps you blog, perhaps you join a social network, Facebook, LinkedIn, MySpace, a Ning network, perhaps you Twitter. I just posted my 2000th Twitter before we started today. And so we have certain motivations and benefits that we get out of engaging in social media. And what I want to show you is the uncanny parallels between what we get out of engaging in social media and what we get out of higher education. They are amazingly similar. So first, we of course engage in social media for self-expression. If it's a MySpace page, if it's posting a video to YouTube, editing a Wikipedia page, we're trying to express something about ourselves, a talent that we have, an opinion that we have, an idea that we have. And so these new social media outlets allow us to express that. And I'm sure you can already probably see the parallels in higher education. You see, if you've ever taught freshmen and then seen those same students again later on in their degrees, you see how much they've matured and grown into their identities and developed their identities. And good higher education, anyway, allows students to express their opinions, to shape the knowledge that they're receiving into forms that mean more to them and are kind of personalized to them. We join social media communities to share enthusiasm for common interests. Whether it's you know, a group online about fashion or about parenting or you know, breeding dogs or shoes or whatever, whether it's a professional or hobby or just a shared interest in an affinity group, we like to be able to engage with people who have common interests with us and to be able to display our enthusiasm for those topics through various forms of social media. If we couldn't express ourselves, we'd be back to that monologic model, right? We're back to the TV model, where the only way we can express our interest is to put our eyeballs on a show and be counted in the Nielsen ratings. But now we're talking about dialogic media. We're talking about conversational media, social media. And that shared enthusiasm for common interests that we can express with social media is so similar to the ways we share enthusiasm for common interests in higher education. You sign up for a major, you take specific classes, you join clubs, you live on a certain floor of the dorm, to be with people who have similar enthusiasms, to be with people who care about similar topics. Social media allows us access to experts and personalities. So, I can send a Twitter to Howard Rheingold and get a reaction from him, whereas one-way media, all I could do is read his publications. I can read the personal blog of a celebrity who I care about. I can read the insights of an academic or a researcher who I would no other way have access to in the old models of communication. So similar to the reasons why we engage in higher education. You might choose a program of higher education in order to have access to the leaders in your field. I'm at Indiana University right now, and so many of the graduate students in the telecom department come here because Ted Castronova is here, and he's this big virtual worlds expert, right? And so students who are interested in virtual worlds flocked to Indiana University in order to be in the company and have access to the expert in their field, their most reputable member of their field and their subject area. So again, we see the strong parallel between the benefit of social media and the benefit of higher education. To enhance personal and professional reputation. So you start a blog and you write about what you know, and you become known as an expert in that area. We do the same thing in higher education. We encourage students to write and to communicate and to discuss topics so that they can establish a reputation in their field, whether it's through a diploma, a portfolio, membership in a professional community, so that when they leave, they can demonstrate their expertise. When we engage in social media, we do the same thing. Whether it's expertise in a hobby or an interest or a profession, we engage in these conversations through technology in order to express what we know, to share what we know, and to show off what we know. We engage in social media to build skills. And I'm sure that this experience is familiar to you. I bought a new camera the other day, and this is a pretty high-tech camera, much fancier than any camera I've ever owned. And I almost immediately had an issue with it that I wasn't sure how to solve. I just didn't know how to perform a certain function with this camera. So I went online and I found a community of people who are dedicated to this one camera. And already I'm building my skills in photography because I'm engaging in social media. It's kind of an informal, personally motivated education that I'm getting on photography because I'm building my skills using social media. And to establish social and professional networks. I'm sure many of you blog. I'm sure many of you belong to social networks, to groups on Facebook or to groups here in Second Life who are members of either a social group that you're interested in or a professional group that you're interested in. And so through social media, we can establish a presence there. We're not just onlookers. Maybe 5 years ago, I could have just subscribed to a photography magazine and I could have just read columns